Really looking for cold spots. So you should be able to see me in this camera. So red, orange, and yellow guy. So sorry, gentlemen, but that means I'm the hottest thing inside the frame right now. Haha, see, I have your attention now, don't I? He's the jerk holding the camera. So we're looking, obviously me being red, orange, and yellow, I'm literally the warmest thing in there. So we're looking for blue and black. So those are they're going to be the coldest areas. There's always going to be blue and black. So what am I looking for with this guy? I'm looking for anything to either move or to start to take shape. So with this particular one, and you don't have to get too excited because this is what you're getting. I figured you didn't have this. So
you have to trust this man here.
with the way this is set up, yes.
Yeah.
So,
we're looking at blue.
Blue and black. Black is going to be your coldest.
Blue and black.
So when I say take shape, I'm looking for head, shoulders, moving arms, and legs. Like that's what we've caught on this in the past, not windows. Glass is always going to be colder in temperatures like this, exactly. And it does not see through glass either. So kind of keep that in mind. So when you guys get your video back, the cool thing about this is I have it set up to where it's got a blue dot bouncing around the screen. That blue dot is there to show you the coldest spot in the frame at that moment. It is about 74 degrees out here for us ambient. So I'm looking for 15 plus degree temperature drop. So about 59 degrees and colder is what I'm looking for out of that blue dot. So in the event we don't have a full-blown anomaly showing up for us, we might actually have just a little tiny dot that says this was way colder than what it was supposed to be, especially if it's against like a cement wall or a building or something like that and it's moving. Yeah, we may actually have something going on there.
Do you have that hooked up to a cell phone?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's only certain cell phones. Like you are. There you go, because the camera will pop out.
Yeah.
And that goes for you too, Peggy, if you want to hit the white circle and get some footage here. But anyway, back to EMF. So that's electricity in the air. So something in reference to something to your home, your TV gives off about 40 to 60 milligauss depending on how many things you have running to it. Okay, so that kind of gives you an idea. Your microwave heating up your food, heating up, is about 150 to 170. So she got up to a 12.1. The average for this space is between 18 to 22. That's an average of what I normally see in this location. So I almost expect an 18 to 22. We have seen triple-digit numbers. In fact, the highest number I've ever seen in my 11 years of ghost hunting has come from this location. 214 milligauss.
Oh my god.
Yeah, craziness. I will tell you, we left. I've already released to you that I have epilepsy. There's too much electricity in the air for the guy with the neurological disorder. So we got the hell out of here pretty quickly. Now, yeah, I know, right?
What did it mean?
I got 18.5.
18.5, see what I mean? Average is between 18 to 22.
What did it mean when it gets that high?
So, again, your microwave gives off enough electricity of 150 to 170. So, imagine that much electricity in the air.
But what does it mean?
Right. Where's the electricity coming from?
what?
Spirits or?
Electricity is energy.
Gotcha. Okay.
And the energy is a ghost?
It was a convention. There was basically a convention going on here.
But at 214 milligauss in a space with no electricity, what other explanation do we have? Exactly.
That's crazy.
So, where the hell are we? We're in a parking lot. Congrats, you made it. So, I told you, I'm taking you to weird spots. This place used to be something. This used to be the Charles and Eliza Pinckney Mansion.
Yeah,
So,
27.
I'll take
Oh, this
27.
used to be the mansion?
Yep. So their mansion actually sat in the front of this space, facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant and came all the way across. And we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. So that kind of gives you an idea of the layout of the land. Now, who the hell were these people? Charles and Eliza had a son named Charles, and they had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Chucks. That's exactly why we look for those secondary clues. I need to know which Charles is coming through in the event somebody sees or hears the name Charles. You're getting my point. Anyway, the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. It's a big deal for us, but I hate politics. We're going to move on. If I don't give them the recognition every single night, we're going to get a very nasty message through a spirit box. We're just going to put it that way. I've seen it dozens of times, if I forget. What'd you get?
Am I on now?
Not yet. You would hear it. So, we're going to talk about Eliza instead. She has a much better story. Eliza marries Charles at a young age according to today's standards. For those of you using communication, if you're going to ask Eliza how old she was, do not expect numbers from the colonial days that she came from when you ask her how old she was when she got married, like 12 and 14. Think of today's standards. The reason I say that is because her husband was over double her age when they got married. Now, keep in mind, I also didn't tell you what those answers, what those numbers actually were. This is where I start withholding information on purpose. You're going to tell me all the silly little things that you're hearing and seeing on your spirit boxes, and you're not going to know if it's going to be relevant or not. I also want to keep in mind, this is why we use multiple pieces of communication. We never know where the answer is going to fall. It might go to an audio from a video, my voice recorder, or one of the 3 communication devices that we're using. Your TV shows normally use only one spirit box or one communication piece at a time, and they might get something. However, this is why I like to use multiple. Anthony might ask a question, you might get the answer. We don't know. So it's kind of crazy. Anyway, back to Eliza. She marries Charles at a young age, like I said, but she marries him because her father is over in England, and he thinks he's dying. He's trying to bring all of his children home one last time so he can see them. Eliza doesn't believe he's dying. Instead, she gets married. 1744. You don't get married in that year to get a green card. We're not a country. So she did marry him out of love. This is a true love story. Do not poke the bear and piss her off. All activity will stop, including EMF readings. I've seen it hundreds of times at this point. Back to Eliza. She was right. Dad did not die right away. Instead, he starts sending her gifts from England. One of those gifts happened to be the seeds of indigo. You guys have been in town for at least a day. You've seen the word indigo somewhere. Exactly. So, I will tell you that this is where the seeds came, but she didn't know what to do with them. She actually had to learn from her servants and slaves how to keep it cultivated. It's not always hot here, believe it or not. So when she figured that out, she had to learn how to make the dye that it does create. And she did that here, and then moved it over to the plantation, got a hold of her father, and said, rice plantations are going downhill. We're going to make a killing with this indigo. And we now have an international businesswoman during colonial days. So something absolutely unheard of. So this space in particular is very prominent to the history of Charleston, obviously, so we're going to be here with respect, but very quick and short. I will also tell you that this is a space I was looking to retire because I was getting disrespectful ghost hunters on your guys' end, like being disrespectful to her and then going to take a leak in the corner of the lot. So I had to give this place a break and come back a few weeks later and kind of let Eliza know I will swing by every night before my groups and let her know what your names are, which I write all of your names down so I can recite them back to her as I cut through the space, and how many people I will be bringing. So we will be brief. What's going to happen is we're going to spread out, and I'm going to do one round robin to see what's going on with your devices, and kind of answer any questions that you might have for me, personally. But at the same time, I'll regroup us here and give you all of the answers to the questions that I'll be giving you. So these are common questions. You can go rogue if you want, but I'm just telling you the common answers that we commonly get at this particular location. So we're going to start off with Anthony's device. So you have one that's going to give us a lot of communication. So you're going to have Eliza's death to focus on. So you can either ask these questions out loud, or you could just focus on them. There's no right or wrong way to do this. How old she was when she died, what she died from, where she's buried, and which president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So these are 4 major questions that we commonly get the answers to.
So when did she die? How did she die?
Where is she buried?
Where is she buried?
Pallbearer.
Pallbearer.
Eliza was the second wife named Eliza and Charles back-to-back. Kind of a jerk move if you really think about it. Both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. Figure out which Eliza we're dealing with. You can also go after the marriage questions. That's her age, Charles's age, how long they were married. Just keep it nice and pleasant. That's the only thing I'm going to ask. Yours gives us very short syllables because of the way it's designed. So you are going to be going after the mansion's not here anymore. What happened to it? And then when did that happen? If we get the what, we will commonly get 2 or 3 numbers of the full date. So it kind of solidifies what's actually going on, and you're going to see they're very specific numbers. So we're going to go along with that. So I don't want to give you any more like, be looking for this number. And I don't want you to be looking for anything. I want you to just tell me what you're hearing. Did we get anything higher than that 12.1, Maria?
I got 44 something, but
Wow. You also had a 27, am I correct in that?
yeah, something like that.
So 18,
I think it was
27.
44, 36 now.
So
Oh,
anything
wow.
above a 25 is really what I'm going to be after at this point. So that'll be your new baseline for the entire duration that we're here. I want you to also keep in mind that little blinky light meter that I showed you guys earlier only goes to 25. We would have missed that 44 if we were using that little blinky light meter, which is why I like to use this one instead. So, Anthony, have you heard anything since we've been here?
No, not really.
Okay. Go ahead and get yours unmuted. So that's the little button on the right. Just a little quick tap and release. Perfect. And it should start giving you little bursts of static. So we're going to, like I said, we're going to spread out. Just stay away from the one vehicle we do have in here. And you killed it. Let me get you turned back on.
You said where is she buried? When did she die? And
How did she die?
how did she die?
And the pallbearer.
Give it time between your questions, okay? Or
Well, use the
pause.
same question usually
Yeah.
4 to 5 times.
Yeah.
So, like, Eliza, tell us how old you were when you passed away, and then maybe reword it a minute later. Eliza, can you
Yeah.
tell me how old you were? I'd like to hear the number. Those kind of things. Just kind of repeat
Okay.
it. Have a conversation.
Cool.
And that's kind of the way I describe it. Just, if you're going to be working out loud, it's
Yeah.
just like they're standing
It's
right
like
in front
talking
of
to
you.
a person. Yeah.
Exactly.
So treat them like a person.
Exactly,
Or-
because they were a person.
yeah.
And
They
that's,
still are a person.
well,
300
not a
years
human
ago.
person anymore.
They're still the person they were.
What are
You know that.
Where should we?
We're gonna spread out in here.
Yeah,
Okay.
just walk
We're gonna
around.
work in here for like, I don't know, maybe 7 to 10 minutes, depending on what's going on with your devices. So anything crazy going on with the camera yet, Ed?
No, I haven't got any anomaly with the camera yet.
Okay. Now this one, I don't always follow up with in real time because the camera is small. I send it to
Yeah.
YouTube so you can watch it however you want. You
Oh,
can put
okay.
them up on your TV,
Yeah.
your computer, all that stuff. So
Yeah, I try to track like you, see if anything comes up behind you in
Yeah.
the corners and stuff.
well, sometimes that blue dot can kind of sneak up on you.
I got the same thing. See, I got one that it's just a regular camera. I can see through the walls. I can see heat signatures through the walls
Right.
and everything.
Mhm.
Really, it's a really good one. But it's like I get the same thing. You know what I mean? But if I usually will see an anomaly like in the darkness. You know what I mean? It'll just pop up. But I've already had full body
Oh yeah,
come up on it.
so have I, which is why I keep using it.
Yeah.
But I've upgraded. Like this is the $399 FLIR 1 Pro, I think it is the
Yeah.
model. And I started off with the little $199 one. It worked
Right.
fine, but we didn't have the blue dot. It wasn't
Right.
as clear. So I just kept upgrading and upgrading as obviously this tour
Well, they
progressed.
make our regular units the size of a little bit bigger
Oh yeah,
than the cell phone.
but I'm not gonna drop $2,000 on a.
No, I paid like
Oh, I know which one.
$750.
Yeah, I
I
see
think it
that
was. They do have one for 2,000.
Yeah.
But see that what that does it records to your computer and all that.
Yeah, I
so
see.
that's
I
the
don't need all
only
that.
little upgrade on it.
I'd rather just have it through here.
Yeah,
'cause, I mean,
yeah,
it works
yeah.
straight on the phone.
Well, plus you have all these people, handling your
it.
equipment.
Well, that's also a construction phone.
yeah.
It's an S8, so
Oh,
it's a
okay,
pretty
yeah.
old model, but it's
Yeah.
construction with an extra case. So if you
Yeah.
drop it, it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So,
That's why I have mine mounted to my SLS camera and all that.
and then my IR camera, like I have it on a tree because I use one of those little IR torches at the top.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
uses LEDs versus the bulbs.
Yeah.
So that's a lot brighter than just the four.
Well, I
little
have
IRs
two of
in
the red and I have the one of the color spectrum.
Hmm.
I have it in the middle. I have two red that go to the. But I found out a lot of stuff comes up in different spectrums.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I was up in Penhurst, okay, for a big paranormal convention. They allowed us to ghost hunt, and a guy was telling me, he says this is the only equipment you really need. He showed me on a video orbs. Now, I'm going, there's really orbs at this dusk, And he's sitting there, and this orb came over, and I felt it touch my hair. And I went, is there a bug in my hair? Right? He goes, no, dude, an orb just came over, and he says, it just went right into you. And it felt like a moth flew in my hair. And it was like, wow, and he showed me a video of it. I was like, get the heck. The video cameras on these cell phones are a lot more intelligent, okay, than most of the stuff that you get at Augustine Ghost and all
Right,
that sort
right,
of stuff, He said the cell phone, he said, it's about the only equipment he really, it says is affordable.
Well,
like
that-
you have the Ghost box, okay, the Ghost apps.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like that is the most affordable way, and I think they're more intelligent than a lot of some of the stuff that they have out there. I mean, I have stuff
That
that Bill
SL
Chappell made. You know what I
That
mean?
SLS camera is just on an iPad.
I know. I see. Yeah.
It's because it's using LiDAR technology.
Yeah.
So even the new iPhones have
Yeah.
LiDAR technology.
Mhm.
So I could put it just on an iPhone, but I was like, why not have it
Yeah.
much bigger and easier to handle?
Well, see, I got the one from Bill Chappell, the real big one, big heavy thing, man.
I know.
And
I gotta carry this stuff around every night. I know.
I know.
it.
I was out in Gettysburg. The Ghost actually, they'll change their settings. They'll shut it off.
Mhm.
I
I've been in
had
Gettysburg.
to send it back. I had to send the thing back to the Bill.
had a
and
big
he,
one. I
and he-
hated it.
Yeah, and he says this happens all the time.
I'm like, I'm not carrying this thing around.
I said, yeah, I twice they changed the settings on it. You know what I mean? And it's like,
Well, not to mention those the SLS cameras that are made out of the Xbox 360
Yep,
cameras
that's what
and all
I
that,
have. Yeah,
like,
yeah, the
those
real
are,
big
like,
ones. Yeah.
the mapping on it is good,
Yeah.
but it can be a little complicated when I'm doing this with layman folks
Yeah.
that don't know this stuff like yourself.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, that SLS I'm using right now, like Peggy can pick it up
Yeah.
right now and ask me a question, and I can tell her exactly what's going on with
Yeah.
it, and then she can start to figure it out for herself.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, well, you got to look at this mapping, and does it
Yeah.
say anomaly?
Yeah.
You know, look at the crisscross. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just a matter of
You know, it's up to anybody's preference. I have a Power 4. I would give the thing away. I don't care for it. You know,
Yeah.
the Power 4.
and I have gear at home that I won't use anymore.
Yeah. It's like it's
Just-
just trial and error.
Right,
Yeah,
it's all
whatever
trial
you-
and error.
It's all, I think it's all what you trust. You know, but the iPhone, okay, the app that you gave her,
Mhm.
okay, the word generator, that has worked since they came out with that app.
I know.
And I proved it. And I had, between you and me, I had an argument with Taps. I seen Taps at a paranormal convention, right?
Yeah.
And I told him about the phone apps, right? And I says, I can prove 6 times to it. No doubt in my mind. I says, I've asked, my neighbor passed away. I said, I asked what he's doing, because he came through, okay, and I was doing work for him. He said, thank you for mowing his grass on that, okay. I said, who is this? And he says, Adams. I never knew my neighbor's last name.
Last name.
I went to my other neighbor. I said, what's his name? He goes, Dave Adams. I go, oh my God, what did he do for a living?
I've been using that thing forever.
Yeah,
Love
I
it.
said, what did he do? He was in architectural designing. And I asked, what is he doing? He said he was designing. And I had it right, I had the words
Well,
right on there. You know what I mean? So I...
You don't have to convince me, man.
Yeah.
I've been using it forever.
But I had an argument. You know, they had a show 6 months later on how to use apps on your phone, because they got so disturbed by me freaking out on them.
Watch it. Big photo. If they caught you at the beginning. Ladies, what are we getting?
I've gotten guilty pleasures
Okay. That's
All
a common
right.
one for us here.
and LASIK surgery. Lots of stuff, but I couldn't make
Couldn't make it
out.
out.
Yeah.
Is this a brothel?
Yeah, far from it. That's almost an insult. But you'll start to see, like, that's why I'm going to go to Anthony. He's probably going to have 10 things he heard. We may have heard guilty pleasures on LASIK surgery, but you can see, like, those things obviously aren't relevant to the things.
I thought guilty pleasures might be. I thought there might be.
Well, any kind of boomtown, I think there was a lot of brothels.
But it's really about where we are right
yeah,
now.
and
Yeah,
the story
yeah.
behind it.
But,
Right.
But I think
Right.
anything can drift through.
I think the picnic would keep them folks out.
Yeah,
Any
yeah.
other crazy anomalies on yours?
No.
Nothing at all yet.
Well, you know, health this area, you have a wall, you have a perimeter
Yeah.
that holds things.
You said you got something on there? It's just reflection of the
Yeah,
water
that's what
right
I
here.
thought.
Yep.
Just a shadow of something. And then that's the
See how easy that camera is?
And then what do you do?
Project. All right, Ed, I'm going to follow up with
Yeah, go ahead, call up your rest of your group. Do you enjoy the conversation? Do you enjoy the people trying to conversate with you? Huh? Why is it? Because there are a lot of people that come here and try to talk to you. You still enjoy Charleston. You enjoy the growth of Charleston. You enjoy the young man trying to speak to you, communicate. Another fellow ghost that maybe certainly.
So he
Yeah,
said that
conversation.
Eliza.
Interact.
So I was asking like, Eliza, how did
Okay, Eliza.
Eliza, how did you die? Stuff like that. So I was asking, I was like, how are you? But like he's saying like you can't ask like yes or no questions. Because it's you have to ask like
Maria, you have any other readings that showed up?
Ghost 2.
Yeah, most of what you're seeing on there, 80% of it's coming from. So it's got a lot of purpose. You know, like what I mentioned on the show, the way it's yeah. But again, when you get things like that, very like nonchalant, very big. So that's why I like to use that. When you get the daddy knows, leave me alone kind of stuff on there, you know, and go to right? You like to get that's the shot, right? So, but again, not really hearing or seeing a whole lot of what's going on here right now, other than the crazy EMF that she's been getting. So let's go follow up with Cindy one more time, and we will kind of wrap this one up. There's not really a whole lot going on here tonight. So let's all come to the back.
Family.
So, anything else pop up?
No, not. So it was, the guilty pleasures and the family.
All right, guys, let's huddle up. Let's see what we got here. If it's distracting to me, I'll ask you. The problem is that because I listen to Spirit Boxes so much, whenever one is running, I'm like, I stop and listen. That's the problem.
One guy that does that all the time is dealing with Ghost Brothers. I would go crazy listening to some of his
That's all I do.
downloads.
That's all I do.
Yeah.
It's because I do
I
this
like
every
it,
single morning when I go back to
That's
the
his
office.
money, but it's like he's now on YouTube. You know, he went to YouTube now.
Yeah.
But oh my God, his word, base is like crazy.
So here's what I'm excited about so far. I'm not discounting you, but we've been out for quite a while already so far,
Yeah.
and there's not really a whole lot going on here. So no anomalies going on with the cameras that have been spoken of. You guys can stop your cameras. Looks like Peggy already has. Kind of give your hands a little bit of a break. So the only thing. It's an older house.
Right,
It's been out there
sure.
for over 100 years. So, and yeah, I've already talked to my landlord. I'm just renting the place. Kind of got a little bit of a history. He knows what I do for a living. We'll see if something pops up. Can I fix the camera?
Yep. Close it off again.
No, you went to a different. Yeah.
Oh, when you were back in that
Shake your booty.
parking lot talking about Elijah, history popped up when you were
Did we
talking.
get anything else to match up with that? Let's go ahead and push
What'd
it
you
on.
say, Ed?
History popped up on mine.
I got educational.
Yeah,
Educational came up?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So,
there's a,
in the event that there's something else that pops up as kind of like to verify that
yeah,
education
it tells you all
piece,
that. It has the date and the time. See?
it'll always give you the date and time.
Yeah.
Now, what I'll be looking for at this point, because you do have the verification, is Eliza was involved with tabula rasa, which is a John Locke idea that children are born and they're more influenced by their experiences than they are in actual education. So again, when educational pops up, the word like Locke comes up, like I get excited. So it might not be the same spelling of John Locke because he does spell it with an E, but again, if we have that same phonetic sound, I'm still excited. So if he missed the word Locke somewhere, I'm not going to be searching for it. If it pops up, now I know why it popped up. If that makes sense. All right, so welcome to Philadelphia Alley. Whenever tours do come down here, just so you know, they will be coming out of that ivy wall. So there's a little step right there. Not that I'm aware of. Or they'll be coming in the exact same way.
I suck too. I
Listening
don't
hasn't
know
always
anything
been my strong suit.
What did you say? So some of the duels, and I say that because dueling was illegal in the 1700s. So this was one of the hiding spots. So we all talk about the same duel, and every ghost tour comes down here. It's kind of a staple. This is the space I'm retiring this year, so enjoy it. Because again, I'm not going to be coming down here next year because I do add a new space after taking out one every single year. Now, the reason why I'm taking out is because everybody comes here. We all tell the same story. I just give you different details because you're ghost hunting. Again, no campfire marshmallow stories with me. Here's how it goes. Doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. He moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda, not Monica, by the way, Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She's an attorney, helping her out with all of this cash flow that she just got. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's cash. He tells Amanda, get rid of the doctor. He comes to Charleston to prove that he's not. So on his way into town, the coachman that brought him in set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a good start. Somebody was walking by and seeing what was about to happen. That somebody walking by was named Ralph Isaacs. I'm going to stop on Ralph. He has the same initials as where the doctor came from.
Rhode Island.
Correct. So, we are getting the letters. Anyway, we were getting the letters RI all the time on a regular spirit box, so I actually bought a new device. It's called an Envoy, but it's basically a digital Ouija board. I wanted to make sure we were having the exact letters that I was hearing from spirit boxes. We've gotten it at least half a dozen times over the past 6 months. So just take that for what it's worth. Ralph tells the doctor, dude, you don't want to stay here. I know this guy. He's going to try to kill you. He's got a gunman inside the house that you're about to rent a room from, and you're going to die. So come with me to 59 Church Street. You can rent a room from friends of mine. Go rent your room and you'll be safe. Took him up on the offer, they became friends. The longer the doctor stays here, the more money he's making. Proving his point that he wasn't.
So the doctor didn't get killed.
No, we're not there yet.
Oh. So you
Not
bet.
that time.
Okay.
Oh no, I'm just kind of progressing on how he became friends with Ralph.
Okay.
So, he's making a lot of money. Amanda gets wind of this. She's moving down so they can get married. Dr. Ladd became known as the Whistling Doctor. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Every haunted city you're ever going to visit has a whistling ghost. It's a cliche. We all have it. Just going to point that out. Ours just happens to be a doctor. Now, Dr. Ladd and Ralph, they go see plays together. They can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's the hierarchy of Charleston. The doctor gets better seats. So, one night they go see Richard III. They're arguing over the new actress. Dr. Ladd thought she was great, and Ralph didn't. The argument turned into Ralph insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. And it goes pretty ugly, and they go their separate ways, basically. They already told you Ralph has friends around town. He goes to his friends at the newspaper, puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a you're a disgrace to society kind of mentality. The doctor saw the ad, but rebutted with, let's go to Jeweler's Alley. We'll settle this, and somebody will die. All this over an actress is the way it started. So they came down, they took their 10 paces away from each other, they turned, the doctor pointed his gun in the air and shot. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage to show up, which is often what happened at a duel. However, Ralph has his one bullet, and he puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. The doctor still doesn't die. He falls to the ground, his friends pick him up, took him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment on November 2nd of 1786. 1786, gunshot wounds were a lot different. He's also a doctor. He probably just thought he had lead poisoning and probably tried to bleed it out himself, but failed because he died. So, every ghost tour that brings you down here tells you to listen for the whistles from the Whistling Doctor. The reason why I have both video cameras running right now, they're recording audio, as is my voice recorder. If we're going to get whistles down here, more than likely that's where they're going to show up. Secondly, we have spirit boxes running. Especially Anthony's. We've gotten whistle parts of songs with the word doctor that shows up from a commercial afterwards. Can't tell you how many times. And they come in here for 4 years. Happens all the time. We also get other specific terms. 59, that was the address of the doctor. Or doctor, medicine, doctoral. You get all the points of the things that will show up here that you will be hearing from here all the way to the next location. Now, every tour tells you to listen for those whistles, and if you're going to try this on your own with your voice recorders from your phone and walk all the way through the alley, just keep in mind every local knows the story. So if you're going to listen to it later, I do it every single night.
Right.
So my office is this way, my garage is that way. So I have to walk to my garage every morning when I'm done with your data, and I always throw a whistle down here, especially since I've been thrown out of here. Let's talk about that, because that's what makes the story so damn interesting. This alley didn't go all the way through that way. There was a wall up there. So the reason why is because this is where they kept the livestock in the city of Charleston. You everything kind of barreled in. It was called Cow Alley before Jeweler's Alley. So again, cows and chickens running around down here. So what does that mean on a paranormal sense? That means the bricks down at the other end by Queen Street are older than the bricks we're standing on. Those bricks were sun-dried from slave children, and there's a full handprint from a slave child down there, along with fingerprint swipes and others. When I first started doing tours, I used to take my groups all the way through to show the handprint, not because of bragging rights, but because we all need to see how far we've come, right? And I don't look at that as a paranormal piece either. Here's why. I treat that brick the same way I do a grave. That kid's not there. That's the last place you're going to find it. So one night, November 26th of 2020, my entire group of 10, because I was pretty sold out, even at the beginning, they're all huddled around that brick, waiting for something to happen. I know nothing's going to happen because he's not there. I'm also trying to be respectful because it's outside the kitchen window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. The new owner of that alley came out screaming. My daughter thought it was hysterical because she was on the tour that night. Her dad's getting yelled at. So we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I don't tour on Thanksgiving simply because I worked in upper retail management for the largest retailer in the world for a good part of 10 to 15 years. So we won't get into that right now, but I don't do Thanksgiving. The next day was November 28th. The dates are relevant. I'm getting to it. I called my partner that I had at the time, and I told him what happened. He also laughed at me, just the way my daughter did, and said, dude, you're not allowed to go down that far. You're allowed to go halfway or reroute the group. I told my group that night, because it's Black Friday, I'm sold out again. We're going to have to reroute, but I don't believe in the next story we're going to, because nothing has ever happened to me over there with my gear, ever. And I'm also a vampire guy, not a pirate person. So, obviously we're discussing pirates next. Now, what I will tell you is while we were at the top edge of the alley, somebody hears the name Anne on a spirit box. I didn't tell them which pirate we were going to be looking into. The famous female pirate, Anne Bonny. I went, oh shit, maybe we will get something. We go up there, I told them a little bit I did know about piracy. Somebody else, here's number 300. I don't know what it means. I write it down. I did the research the next day. We were there November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy, November 28th of 1720. The exact 300th anniversary of the pirate trial. So you guys were like, oh wow, that's really cool stuff. I was pissed. Let me tell you why. I have a master's degree in creative writing. Even when I'm writing fiction, I like facts and data. Pirate stories come from pirate lore that were written over 100 years before after the actual alleged happening. So I've had to read more books on pirates to make sure what we're doing over at the next stop is legit. So everything we're going to be discussing came from a minimum of 2 resources. It's a very fun story, but it's also a 50-50 roll of the dice if we're going to get activity, because Anne is said to be seen all over town. The hope is that she's going to be there at the same time we are, which is why I kind of like to bleed over from Philadelphia Alley here to be able to kind of complement in case we miss things from Anne Bonny. Before we leave the space, I'm telling you, I'm going to give that a job later on. Yeah. So he's been phenomenal. Like he's just been holding it steady. Love it. The gate before we leave. Remember I told you that the alley didn't go all the way through this way. In the event there was a loser to the duel down here, this was the shortcut to get to the cemetery on the other side of the wall. So now you guys can see how I pieced together the histories here. The gate itself was not, but the archway was. So the gate is from the early 1900s, but you can see that the archway was definitely part of the original wall. Right. Otherwise, they're taking a dead body, which is dead weight, all the way down to Queen Street and then double back in to get to the cemetery. So again, not a whole lot of people know why this archway was here. Now it's just blocked off because it's no longer an easement, if that makes sense, if you know real estate laws. But that's kind of how this gate was kind of came to be. Now, the next place we're going is up and around the corner. For those of you with cameras, if you're going to continue recording, just kind of keep them at belly level. Peggy, you're doing a great job. That's normally the shot I ask for anyway. It is nice and low, so that way you don't have to hold it up. But we're going to be, you may see other...
Yeah, he's definitely
in it to win it. So when the other tours come here, they also discuss the Powder magazine. We're just going to be looking at it in a much different light. So Did you notice the crosses on the building? Those are not crosses. For those of you that don't live here, those are earthquake bolts.
Oh, right.
So
yeah.
you guys have probably heard about those on your carriage ride today. Earthquake bolts, if you're unfamiliar with them, are turnbuckles. So if we have another earthquake like what we did in 1886, you can turn those turnbuckles and it tightens the building so it doesn't incur any further damage. So it's a great idea. It just doesn't work. So you guys just see them all over town as Charleston Charm with lion heads and pineapples and all the bullshit around Charleston, right? Even this apartment building behind it has earthquake bolts.
Right.
So they're all over the place. But the reason I point those out, I'm sorry, were you going to say something?
They just put a piece of
It's a turnbuckle, so it's got the full, I mean, you can just tighten them.
tape.
So those over there on the powder magazine, those are the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston ever put in. That's part of the reason why we're here. That's why I like to point them out.
No, you are.
The reason why is because that is the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. Now, we are here because this building was being constructed at the same time that Anne Bonny was coming here to start a new life. This is what I call a familiar. So if you watch the TV shows and they use that little teddy bear Boo Buddy guy with the K2 meter in it, they use that to try to attract a child ghost because the child would recognize it as a toy. We're here for the exact same reason. This is one of the few buildings around Charleston that Anne would recognize because it's from her time period. You guys getting the gist of why we're here? Perfect. So let's get into the middle of the story because the story begins right in the middle of the construction. So 1708, which by the way, the building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years? So anyway, you guys can laugh. I'll just answer for you. No, it doesn't sound like them at all. But anyway, 1708. Follow me. There's a lot of twists on this one, and I will slow down on the twist. We're talking about a kick-ass female pirate here. Alexander's excited. I can see it in her eye. Now, a young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormack.
Oh yeah, Irish.
She came
Oh,
here with her
redhead.
father. Jumping the gun on me again. You damn redhead.
Oh God.
She comes here with her dad and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. Are you guys with me so far? The three of them are running away from her father's angry wife. How pissed off is that wife that she had to kick him out of the country? What do you have?
Water.
Water. Got it. And yes, they had to come here by boat because there's no planes. So, again, just showing how pissed off that wife actually would have been. They landed in Georgetown. That's just north of here, between us and Myrtle Beach. Dad bought a plantation up there. Mom died pretty quickly. That means Dad is now sending young Anne down here to Charleston to sell things from the plantation to help keep things afloat. Hence the familiar building. That's why we're here. Anne back home in Ireland, we're going to take a step backwards. Sorry, Peggy. Anne was a badass even back then. At the age of 7, 8, 9, remember it's pirate lore, nothing is exact, they say she killed a servant with a knife to the belly. I can't tell you how many times we've had servant, knife, and belly all show up on 3 different communication devices and one person doesn't know what the other 2 people have. Happens all the time.
She was proud of it.
Exactly. Fast forward. The building's done in 13, but by 1715, pirates are starting to come through Charlestown. Anne is stoked. Why? She's going to fall in love with one of these pirates so she can earn her freedom, just like a man. So that's the times. So, first guy she falls in love with, and I said first because there's a handful, and we're going to go through them all because that's what makes the story so damn interesting. The first guy is James Bonny. You already see where this one's going, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, Dad didn't approve because he's a pirate. They ran away to Jamaica. They got married, and Cormac is now Anne Bonny. That's where the pirate name came from. However, when she gets down there to Jamaica, and she's with her new husband, she realizes he's not the Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for. This guy turns out to be a privateer. He's a spy for the British. He's a coward. This isn't who she wants. So a few more years go by, and she falls in love again. Guy number 2. This is John Rackham, but everybody calls him Calico Jack. This is the guy they based your Johnny Depp character off of. If you're still wondering.
Big story behind
Yep.
that.
Now, Calico Jack has
Isn't
his own
there
ship.
like an alcohol
Huh?
name after Calico Jack?
No.
No.
You're thinking of Jack.
Well, I know Jack.
Jack Sparrow.
No, but like, okay, just forget it. Just forget it.
But he has his own ship and he has his own crew, but Anne wants to be part of the crew. Can't put a female on a pirate ship. Does anybody here know why? Keep it family
Bad
friendly.
luck or
Thank
something
you.
like that, yeah.
Thank you. It's bad luck. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and look like the crew,
You're intuitive.
you can
Yeah.
be part of the crew. So she is okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy apprentice back home in Ireland. She gets it. It's a man's world, but she's a pirate. Let's go. She's a female in his quarters. Let's put 2 and 2 together. She's eventually going to get pregnant. You can't have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl, and then they're going to get rid of Jack as captain. They'll vote him off. So he drops her off in Cuba before she starts the show. Have the baby here with friends of mine. They'll help you out and come back, and we'll figure it out later. She goes and has that baby, but returns without a baby. We have no idea what happened to the child. No amount of my research on pirates has ever discovered what the hell happened to that child. What's significant about this part is that she comes back dressed as a female.
What does that mean?
Her. Like pay-per-view. See, like
Her.
Per each.
That's-
Each. Per means
I've never had per.
per.
It's always a
Mine
regular
surprises
word.
me every week. I get at least 1 or 2 terms I've
That
never seen
has
before.
some kind of significance behind what you're talking about.
We're gonna find out.
Maybe a pirate statement.
That's not a reach.
When she comes back from not having that baby, because we don't know what happened to him, she's dressed like a female. Jack's pissed off, and she's going to make him even more angry to go flirting with the pirate crew he just captured. They're down below deck. We're on guy number 3, in case you guys lost track. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy, to be part of the crew that Calico Jack just captured. Now we have 2 females, dressed like males, on the same ship, trying to be pirates. Her name, Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. So her and Mary became friends, possibly lovers. We're not going to really know for sure, but the British find out where they are. They send a fleet of Navy ships after them to take down one measly little pirate ship. The rumor is that Anne and Mary were the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet flintlocks because they don't know how to use cannons yet. They haven't been pirates for very long. So 2 ladies with 1-bullet guns are not going to take on a whole fleet of Navy ships. They get arrested, and as they're being arrested, she looks at her captain in bow, Calico Jack, and she says, "I'm sorry to see you here, but if you would have fought like a man, you wouldn't be hanged like a dog." The word dog shows up a lot, by the way. The judge wants to see the 2 quote-unquote men that fought back so valiantly on their own. He's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunken pirates that wouldn't fight. They're dead and gone. The 2 ladies go in front of the judge, reveal their gender, hoping to save themselves, but the judge doesn't give a shit that they're female. They're still pirates. He's still going to hang them. "We plead our bellies," was the last thing they shouted out, because you cannot hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So they got very smart. So he says, fine. He sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging. Dad is still up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne, brings her home, she remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4. We're going to count Mary. We don't really know. She has 4 kids, dies at the age of 84.
Holy hell.
Very
84 in 1720.
That's
We don't know
old.
his name.
Yeah.
That is
Now,
old.
that's, again, 4 lovers that we discussed. So there's a couple of things I left out. Here's what I left out of the story, because I'm not going to assign questions here. This is not a prominent English woman that you have to tiptoe around, kick her in the shins, and get some damn answers. That's technically the mentality. But here's what I left out. I left out the names of her parents, the father and his mistress, so that way you'd have something to start with. The name of Calico Jack's ship, the color of her hair, which Ed already revealed, which was the good old Irish red-headed girl. And I usually give that to somebody that's struggling with a spirit box a little bit. They're like, hey, ask her what her hair color was. It's a 1-syllable answer. So hopefully you can get the color red if you're asking about that. I also left out the city that she grew up in Ireland, on purpose. So these are all things I did not tell you. Anything else you want to know, I just can't prove anything about that baby in Cuba. So that's the only thing I cannot prove. I've had weird things happen with all cameras that we're working with here. This ivy wall is not your friend because all leaves are in front of one another. You'll get a bunch of gobbledygook figures waving at you.
Yeah.
As far as your end, Maria, the 2 corners had 2 electrical poles. Don't get excited if you start to see like a 5 to an 8 in that area. It's from the electrical poles. So I normally get more excited about the EMFs that come up back here. Yeah. So
More
so we're
church
gonna find out.
music.
What was that?
More church music.
More church music.
I
Any
heard
words?
bend over.
Bend over.
Oh man.
And that probably goes with your per. Bend over per what?
Oh, what you want to know?
So we're looking for city in
Wait,
Ireland.
what's the name again?
A city in Ireland.
Ian Bonnie.
Color of hair.
Red.
Yep, that's an easy
Wait,
one.
so this building here has been up since like the 1700s?
It's the oldest government building in South Carolina. We do have a house 1 year older than this here in Charleston. That's the pink house on
That's
Chalmers.
still up? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh wow.
There's just no official record of it being finished in 1712.
That's crazy.
It's all right, do too much research.
I just got agitated.
Did
I
you?
don't really like that word.
But you heard it,
Yeah, I heard it.
so we're going to write it down. 'Cause that's not a word you hear every day.
What's the significance on the crosses on the building? It's,
What's that?
they put crosses on the building. Is that?
Those are the earthquake bolts I just told you about.
Oh! I thought you were talking.
Those are earthquake bolts newer,
Yeah, I know
but that's the
yeah.
first set
Oh.
that they ever put in.
Oh, okay. It's
That's why they're so crude.
experimental. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, 'cause I see these in Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah. They don't work. Californians laugh all the time at me.
They had an earthquake in Philadelphia. 23 buildings went down in the old section, just crumbled.
How long ago was that?
About 12, 14 years ago.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. They've been getting minor earthquakes, but that was like a number 4.
We get little shakes, but we don't get anything to the magnitude of that one in 1886.
Yeah.
I mean, that was an 8 point something if we were to have a Richter scale.
Right.
We're going based off the damage
They're
that
getting
it
a
did.
lot in Ohio right now and Illinois.
Well, I know why they're going on in Ohio. It's because of fracking up there.
Yeah.
Fracking will cause earthquakes all the time. They had, when I lived there, God, that was 12 years ago now.
Mhm.
We were getting earthquakes back then.
Oh yeah. I was watching a thing on the faults. There's more faults than they figured on. They found a new way of finding these faults.
Yeah, that fracking, when they start going into the ground like that,
Yeah.
I mean, they're that's craziness.
There's a lot going on in Pennsylvania that fracking, but now they stopped it. You know.
That
We were
work-
like-
Go ahead. I wanted to tell you too. I noticed you have like the free version of this.
Yeah.
So yours, if you don't mind me touching your
Go
phone,
ahead.
has 1,800 words in it.
Yeah.
So mine, I paid the $3.
Yeah.
I have 9,000.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's well worth it for that $3. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's okay. I just restarted. It's that's all my ghost apps I have. But yeah, I like it because it keeps a memory. You know what I mean?
And you can
You
I
know.
email them to myself so I can put them up
Yeah.
on your guys' review.
Yeah. See, that's all tonight. Or most of it tonight.
Where'd you get roses at?
Roses out in the alley.
Over here?
Yeah.
That's relevant.
All right. Well,
So
there you go.
I'll talk about that.
Document it. I'll give you all the words that you
email
generate.
that to me and I can add
Yeah, I can do that.
Like if you had roses over there, that's common to get. And it's not just comes up on the word list, it comes up on regular spirit boxes too.
Yeah. I gotta shut this off. My arm's starting to get.
I had 2 females dressed like males, just like Anne and Mary in the story on the tour. Keep in mind, they had no idea what the history was of the space before we got here.
That's
So
crazy.
This is the weird shit that I see, why I give the heated warning when I'm about to take strangers to a paranormal investigation. I don't know what's going to happen to you guys. So psychics and mediums, when they show up, I never give them a spirit box that's going to go in their ear. They already get their own messaging. It's going to be too much for them. I can't tell you how many of them passed out, and I learned my lesson. So I will tell you that the first time somebody I had to call an EMT for, I was in CPR class the next day. Like, I was like, oh shit, what the hell did I sign up for? Like, so that was kind of the mentality behind it.
Well, I
So-
tell you what, there's a lot here because I'm sensitive. I could feel it. Like I get like the static electricity feeling. Okay.
I was hoping
and
we
right
could've been
here,
able to prove
right,
that.
right
Well, the
here,
highest one I got was 2.0 just right now.
right.
That's because of the pole.
No, right now. Okay, my legs are tingling. Okay, and that's
Do you need to sit down?
I tingle. No, I don't need to sit down. I know.